So, ladies and gentlemen, there's something I've been keeping from you for the past year and a half, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm going to tell you everything about it. This is going to be another review, ladies and gentlemen, but not just in any other review. This is going to be a long-term ownership review of my Ather 450X, ladies and gentlemen. This is my Ather 450X, the top of the line variant from 2023 edition. I have had this motorcycle for past about 1.5 years right now, and I have driven about 22,000 kilometers, and I done both my first service as well as my second service on this motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why I thought today, you know what? Let me tell you a bit more about this motorcycle and why you should invest in an EV like this one, ladies and gentlemen. Again, market is full of many EVs. Many companies are trying to resolve many issues, but this is the one that stands on the top, ladies and gentlemen. This is like the Tesla on the US market. So I'll show you a little bit more. First and foremost, a little bit basics about the Ather 450X. Again, as I told you before, this is a 120cc EV motorcycle that produces about 10 or 15 Newton meters of torque, and it has a lot of tech. I'll explain it when we are going on the GoPro, but it has a lot of tech. The starting price is about 1 lakh around 1 lakh 30,000 currently, and as a good news too, ladies and gentlemen, latest info about this beautiful motorcycle is that they have now branched out from the world of startup companies to a brand motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen. So huge shout out to Ather if you're watching this video, ladies and gentlemen. But here's the key factor on why certain motorcycles or certain automobiles in the EV industries are making big names and making big things in the industry, and none of the other companies are able to catch up. Simple 2 steps, ladies and gentlemen. Make it easy, make it simple, no nonsense. That's the philosophy that most companies should follow if you're making an EV motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen, or any EV automobile for that fact, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what Ather has done to this beautiful machine, and it's been working so flawlessly for the past year and a half, and for the 20,000 kilometers that I did it. But take it with a grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen. There's still loads of things to be improved, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for the Ather 450X, ladies and gentlemen, because again, EV is a new kind of technology for the year. Even the US markets are yet still to be upgraded in the terms of EVs, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll give you the fact this is an Indian manufactured one. It's an indigenous Indian manufactured motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen, and it is doing some 26 volts in terms of the 450X as well as the 450S, ladies and gentlemen. So catch you guys up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on the scooter. So plain and simple tech, ladies and gentlemen. You got your dim and bright switches, your indicator, your horn, your start stop switch, your mode selector, as well as your starter switch, ladies and gentlemen. The tire sizes are going to be 100 by 80 17 inches at the front, and 100 by 90 17 inches at the rear. It has all the tech and features that you need in the year 2025. This is a 2024 model, so the Gen 2. The newer generation Gen 3 has a separate switch for the reverse gear. Yes, it does has a reverse gear. So in this model you have to use the touch screen, and if you do that, it goes reverse. Again, it's just for a push, ladies and gentlemen, not full reverse assist. But as you can see right now, the odo shows about 22,349.7 kilometers on the clock, and this is all the average speed you can get, current rides, all of that you can take it, ladies and gentlemen. It does have Google Maps installed in it. As I told you before, this is a fully spec version, and for proof, ladies and gentlemen, I'll show you. This is, I'm not going to be showing the pin, obviously. This is Marshall 450X, and it's running at 6.02 version of the system, ladies and gentlemen. And as on the top left hand screen, you can see, obviously you do have a tire pressure monitoring system that came factory on this motorcycle. That is a standard, I think so. It's a 5,000 option. So every single thing that you need on a 2025 EV I have in this motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen. So let's take it for a ride, shall we? So first and foremost, before going in, just give me 1 second. Let me cross the road, ladies and gentlemen, so that I don't get any traffic. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I told you before, we have two models on this, ladies and gentlemen. One is gonna be, am I recording yet? Yep. One is gonna be the Ather 450X, which is this one, the current one that I'm riding. That is the top end version of it. And then you got the 450S model, ladies and gentlemen. S is a little bit basic model than this. So X has a 3.9 kilowatt hour battery, and the S version, the lower end model, has a 2.9 kilowatt hour battery. And the X produces at full speed range of 105 kilometers on a full charge, ladies and gentlemen. It takes about 4 units of charge. So considering that, it's about 10 to 12 rupees. And it takes about, when you plug it at home, when you do not have a supercharger facility, when you do plug it at home, it takes about 6 to 7 hours to fully charge. So usually every single time for the last 20,000 odd kilometers that I've been driving this motorcycle, every single time when I come home after a day's work, this is my, again, I do have my Ducati as well as my Yamaha RX100, but the most used vehicle in the fleet is going to be this one, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is what my father uses, this is what I use, and this is what sometimes my mom even uses. So let me give you a quick acceleration test on everything, ladies and gentlemen. So right now it's on eco mode. Let me switch the display right now so that you can see. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, but I always like this display type, ladies and gentlemen, with the map. But for scientific purposes, I'll give you this. Yeah, the brightness is full. So this is the EV mode, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, it shows you the range, the ride mode, the speed, as well as this is some kind of an RPM meter. So the current ride is at 0.7 kilometers. So let's go. So at Eco, as the name suggests, ladies and gentlemen, Eco is what it gives you the 105 kilometers of range, and the top speed hits about 40 kilometers an hour, ladies and gentlemen. So perfect for the city. If you go downhill, you can get about 47 to 50 kilometers on a speed range, ladies and gentlemen. So next up on the list, after switching over from that ride mode, is the ride mode, ladies and gentlemen. On this ride mode, you can get up to about 60 kph. Let me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. So now you're hitting, the city speed limits of 60 kph. Now that produces the torque output. If you need the full torque output, ladies and gentlemen, just hit the sports mode or the warp mode. The full torque hits like a eardrum, ladies and gentlemen. Let me show you. So now it's in ride, now it's in sports. Let's put it on drop mode. So the range is also reduced to 40 kilometers an hour. Full torque power, ladies and gentlemen. So So the top speed on its own without any wind deflection is about 90 kilometers an hour. Or if you do a lot of aerodynamic stuff, then you can hit a speed about 95 kph, ladies and gentlemen. And if it's a downhill, probably you will get into 100 kph, ladies and gentlemen. Let me show you the torque on how much it has and how much the wheels are getting affected every single time when you punch the throttle in, ladies and gentlemen. So let me 1 second, let me do this again. So still in warp mode at 7 kilometers an hour. Watch this. See the torque pull, ladies and gentlemen. It's the same as that when you feel it in the Ather 450. Sorry, the Teslas, ladies and gentlemen. You get the torque. See? 90 kph, ladies and gentlemen. So what's so special and what's so good about this motorcycle that I'm telling you to invest in this motorcycle right now, ladies and gentlemen? Remember, the choices or the rivals to this motorcycle are going to be the Ola scooters or even the Hero Vida V1, as well as the other brands such as the Amperes or even the Hero electric ones. There's so many things, ladies and gentlemen. but none of them claim to have a solid fixed range of 105 kilometers, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, you might be arguing that Ola has a range of 123 kilometers now, but take into that, ladies and gentlemen, I have already explained on why you shouldn't buy the Ola scooters, because again, everything is controlled by a goddamn software, and that software is not at all, not in it's still in its developmental state. It's not like, the Android platforms or the One UI that you used to know. It's a completely new platform that Ola has developed from scratch. Kudos to that. The same is done with the Ather, but here's the fun fact between the Ather and the Ola scooter, ladies and gentlemen. Ather, although it has all of these, the UI functions, every software, the range depletion, the battery management system, everything is managed by its own software. None of the main things that make a motorcycle work, that like the brakes, the horns, indicators, the accelerator, nothing is being tuned by, nothing is being touched, or nothing is being integrated with the software, ladies and gentlemen. Only the display, the GPS map, and the auto braking stuff, and the hill hold assist and the traction control system is only the things that are controlled by the UI, ladies and gentlemen. And that is one that makes this motorcycle a useful motorcycle, both on the streets as well as on any road trips, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I know that, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to take this for a road trip, but again, with that thing said, ladies and gentlemen, what's the difference on the Ola? Well, Ola, everything is considered and fitted towards the software, ladies and gentlemen. And here's the fucked up fact: I even had a beautiful chance of driving both the motorcycles simultaneously, ladies and gentlemen, the Ather as well as the Ola scooter, ladies and gentlemen. Even the goddamn accelerator, the throttle, the one thing that you shouldn't connect with the goddamn software is connected with the software, ladies and gentlemen. And the throttle delay on that thing is goddamn serious, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you, you are gonna get fucked up for sure, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are in the works to buy an EV, ladies and gentlemen, I highly suggest you to get the Ather 450X. Why so? Because of its simplicity, its ease of use, and again, most of the people in this city, ladies and gentlemen, use this motorcycle for city purposes, right? And you and me know that most of the people, 90% of the people who buy this motorcycle are not tech savvy like you and me, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we do love a good set of technology, ladies and gentlemen, but let's be real, ladies and gentlemen, most of the people that buy this motorcycle are not into that of tech. They plan to save money. They want a motorcycle that doesn't give them headaches. They want a motorcycle that runs. They want a motorcycle that is, maintenance free. And in that, all of these subjects, ladies and gentlemen, I highly suggest you, this is one of the motorcycle, this is the best motorcycle on all of the categories that I just told you, ladies and gentlemen. This works absolutely fantastic. You just charge this and you forget it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, there is no servicing of this motorcycle. Again, this doesn't run on fossil fuels, right? The one thing that you should take care of this motorcycle are going to be the brake pads and the brake disc, right? As well as the chain, ladies and gentlemen. As I told you before, if not, this is run by not a normal chain, but this is run by a belt driven system. So the belt will obviously, with a lot of trial and errors and with a lot of driving, the belt gets a little bit shaven off the sides and eventually it breaks down. It's same as what you do in a car or what you do in a normal motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen. It gets rusted off. You get the point, right? But that are the two things that you need to service and keep in mind when you're when you're doing this motorcycle. Again, for the past 20,000 kilometers and the past year and a half that I got it, I have taken this on every single thing or every single test I can throw at it, ladies and gentlemen. I have got about 20 kgs worth of cement on the front here, and I traveled it, no range drops or no depletions, no nothing. It just goes, ladies and gentlemen. And to keep it simple and keep it fair, ladies and gentlemen, if you're buying a motorcycle, if you're buying an EV motorcycle, consider this fact, ladies and gentlemen. If you're buying an EV motorcycle and if you're coming from a normal fossil fuel like one of these motorcycles, ladies and gentlemen, the petrol motorcycles, you need something that is much more reliable, much more reliable than the fossil fuels, ladies and gentlemen, and a little bit more easy to drive for both men as well as women, ladies and gentlemen. In that aspect, this is the one scooter that you can trust, ladies and gentlemen. With all your heart, you can trust this. Yes, it's a little bit high on the price tag, ladies and gentlemen, but considering the benefits that this motorcycle gives you, the rate drops down eventually, ladies and here's the fun fact, ladies and gentlemen. You can obviously earn all of your money back by saving a lot of fuel, because again, this is not a fuel for, this is not a fuel motorcycle, it's run by EV. So how many times you ever charge it, it's not going to be equal to that of a fuel motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen. You get the point, right? You get the drift. So you're going to be saving a lot of money too, ladies and gentlemen, and within a year and a half, you're going to be achieving what you paid for this motorcycle in terms of EV charging, ladies and gentlemen. And as of right now, I'll show you my stats too, ladies and gentlemen. I think I have earned around 57,000 to 58,000 rupees right now, ladies and gentlemen. I forgot it, but I'll put the screenshot up right now, ladies and gentlemen, so you can see this is how much amount I have earned in the years that I have driven this motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen. And it just works, ladies and gentlemen. What can I say? It just works, again. Yes, I had it for a year and a half. You might have seen it in a lot of older videos, might be seeing in the background too, ladies and gentlemen. But here's the fact why I didn't post a video on this motorcycle. Obviously, you might have seen it. They did give me a motorcycle for review from the Ather, but that time also I didn't tell you that I had a plan of buying this motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because again, this is a newer age motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen. This is an EV platform, because again, if this is a fossil fuel, everybody knows what motorcycle to buy. Everybody has a clean idea on which motorcycle is good, which motorcycle is bad, which motorcycle is good for each of the purposes, right? So I don't need to do a video on every single fossil fuel motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen, the normal IE combustion engine motorcycles, ladies and gentlemen. But on the EV side of things, many people are still confused on which motorcycle to buy. Again, more motorcycles are coming year by year in terms of EV manufacturers, ladies and gentlemen, and as you can see from the stats too, ladies and gentlemen, none of the motorcycles that are appeared on the market right now is as good as this motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen. Everything has a flaw, everything has a byproduct of something bad, ladies and gentlemen. Take for example the Ola, as I told you before. It has a bad reputation of service, it has a very bad reputation of the brakes, it has zero brakes, ladies and gentlemen. I drove it very recently, that motorcycle too, ladies and gentlemen. It has the worst brakes, because again, as I told you before, everything is connected with the goddamn system, the software, ladies and gentlemen. So when you hit the brake, it's not allowing you to hit the brake at the time, ladies and gentlemen. So as you might see right now, I just hit the brake, the brakes are applied straight down there through a wire. Normal technology, ladies and gentlemen, through a wire, normal technology, brakes are applied, and I have a stop. But that goes through the software, tells the ECU, makes the ECU to understand there's a speed breaker coming through, and then the ECU allows the charge to flow through the system, and then it allows the brakes to be put. By the time you're gonna be dead, ladies and gentlemen. And also the front on that, due to the higher gravitational force, ladies and gentlemen, the front is supremely unstable, ladies and gentlemen. When you take it up to speed on 90, let's say about 85 kilometers, ladies and gentlemen, the front is absolutely naked, ladies and gentlemen. And this motorcycle, see this, I can just keep it with my body, ladies and gentlemen. That is how much the center of gravity is on this motorcycle. The center of gravity is at the 0th point on this motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen. And here's a fun fact too, ladies and gentlemen. This motorcycle is so center of gravity, that the weight distribution between the front axle as well as the back axle is exactly 50-50 percentage, ladies and gentlemen. That makes this motorcycle so easy to drive for both men as well as women. It is a weightless body. Again, another benefit. And also the brakes on this is absolutely mad, ladies and gentlemen. Both of them are 4-port disc system. I think so. It's a 320mm or 250mm, I'm not sure, but I'll put it up on the screen right now so you can see it, ladies and gentlemen. Both are a good company set of brakes, not the usual local Biber brakes, but good set of brakes. All are designed in India by Indians, and the people who made this motorcycle know how to make a good motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just say at that, ladies and gentlemen. And with the recent releases of the 2 new motorcycles, ladies and gentlemen, from the Ather factory themselves, they got the Ather Apex. Obviously, you might have seen it already, ladies and gentlemen, and the newest Ather Restar, ladies and gentlemen. Both absolutely fantastic in their own separate way, ladies and gentlemen. Well, what else? The suspension on the front as well as on the back, it's a normal as a normal, combustion engine setup, ladies and gentlemen. Front a two fork system, upside down forks, and at the back is a single monocoque suspension, ladies and gentlemen. Both absolutely work wonders. You cannot feel a single bump, ladies and gentlemen. Again, take into consideration, ladies and gentlemen, I have driven this motorcycle for the past 20,000 kilometers, and I know this motorcycle like inside and out, and I've been through a lot of paces. I've driven through a lot of kilometers too. I've gone through different scenarios, different terrains. I gone through rain, and that's why the vehicle looks so trashed up, but I'm really sorry for that. But you get the point, right? I've been driving this almost every day, ladies and gentlemen. There's been no rest for this motorcycle at all, and the charging situation on this, you might need. That is the main point, ladies and gentlemen. Already I told you about the Ather's work towards the charging station is absolutely fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. Each and every single day they are planning a new area, and they are approving it on the day itself. So probably when you're buying the 2025 or the 2026 versions of the Ather 450, probably you're not going to be feeling the change of charging stations, ladies and gentlemen. Probably there are going to be a lot of charging stations that you're going to be forgetting if there's going to be a charging station at all, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the amount of charging station as of right now in Coimbatore, where I live. Approximately there are about 96 or 97 chargers. Among that, ladies and gentlemen, almost 75% of the chargers are working conditions, ladies and gentlemen, and they're steadily improving on adding new chargers and making the old ones work, and there are chargers in places where you might not even think of, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I'll give you another example. So my college is exactly 25 kilometers from here. You might have seen it. It's in the end portion of Coimbatore, ladies and gentlemen. So before Sirvani near to Isha, there is a charger for this scooter, ladies and gentlemen. Think about that. So the Ather Energy to be, in fact, because that's what their company name is from starting today. They've been working so hard, so tirelessly behind the scenes to make this motorcycle absolutely one of the most favored motorcycles in the industry, ladies and gentlemen, and to be used as equal to that of an internal combustion engine, ladies and gentlemen. That's how much they work. They're putting the work into to make this motorcycle a reality for every single people, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I know the rates are a little bit too costly for your liking, but again, the benefits pay for itself, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're looking into buying an EV scooters, ladies and gentlemen, or EV moped, whatever you want to call it, I highly suggest you to get the Ather 450, ladies and gentlemen. And with the recent software updates, as well as whatever the company is doing right now, they are trying to bring about the change in changing this motorcycles, the overall structure from a childish to a more matured one, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see right now, it's plain basic childish, but nowadays they're trying to make a change, ladies and gentlemen. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I have done both of the motorcycles review. You can find that on my channel. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. It will be on the end screen of this video, ladies and gentlemen. So, what do you think about this video? Hope you like this video, ladies and gentlemen. Hope this video was informative. Yes, I'm really sorry that I kept this motorcycle hiding from you for the past year and a half. But as I told you before, I always use this motorcycle or anything, ladies and gentlemen, that I buy before making a video on this, because I wanted to know if this motorcycle is not only suited for me but also suited for the common man, that is you and I. So with that said, you know what to do, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, turn on that notification, and it's your boy Sunil signing off. Take care. Peace.